Thank you, Paul. That was such a warm way to get us started. So David and I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you as we gather today to celebrate our friend and colleague, Roger Payne, the extraordinary life he led and the profound impact he had on all of us, as well as on the majestic giants of the sea. Now, Roger's groundbreaking work in studying whales transformed my understanding, and I guess our collective understanding of these magnificent creatures and their profound songs that echo so far through our oceans. And I had the enormous privilege of seeing that firsthand. So Roger's pioneering discoveries about whale communication and behavior ignited a global passion for whales and shed light on the vital roles and on the intelligence of whales. He has been a relentless advocate for whale conservation, and he has campaigned tirelessly, whether in official ways or in unofficial ways at dinners and gatherings. I have been so inspired by the movement that he galvanized, urging the world to recognize the beauty, the intelligence, and the importance of whales and of all of our neighbors on this planet. So you all know Roger was extraordinarily passionate about his work and about how he communicated about it. And I, for one, have found this passion kind of unmatched. I have found his curiosity boundless, and I have been really inspired by and moved by his dedication. But beyond Roger's capacity for kindness and his innate ability to bring people together, I also think Roger was unique in his belief in the potential of every individual. And he had a lasting impact on me and all of our students and colleagues who have worked together with him. Now, I met Roger at a MacArthur Fellow gathering, and and shortly after that, in 2009, he invited me to Argentina to experience the southern right whales. At this gathering, he talked about whale song, I talked about robots, and we wondered, well, what would happen if we could bring some of the latest robotic ideas to the study of whales. Now, I was always fascinated by whales, and frankly, I was awestruck listening to Roger deliver that talk. So when he suggested this trip to Argentina, I felt like this was one of those invitations one does not say no to. And so I was very eager to go, to get to know Roger better, and to see if our work can really make a difference in how whales, in how we study whales. Now, around the time Roger and I were planning to go to Argentina, I started discussing the possibility of using a robot to observe whales, kind of like taking your eye and throwing it over the cliff and over the water and on top of the whales. And so I was discussing the possibility of using robots for nature observations with my former students, Daniel, Gurdan, and Jan Stumpf. And here you can see all four of us, Roger, Daniel, and I. Now, Roger and Daniel had just finished their degree and started a company, and they were eager for an adventure. And so after many rounds of discussion, the new Falcon flying robot was born during the summer of 2009. Now, today, everyone knows what a drone is, but in 2009, this was a very rare kind of a bird. It was something so new, so unique. The world hadn't heard of drones yet. And so this was an 8-rotor drone that had a camera in between. So initially, our drones had circular placement of the rotors. But then Roger said, no, in order to do observations, the camera cannot be obstructed by anything. And so we came up with this design and the camera in the middle, so we had a very unique tool. So Roger and Jan and Daniel and the Falcon and I headed to Argentina for whale observations in August of 2009. Now, Roger had built a lab on the shores of Peninsula Valdez in the roaring 20s, where I learned it was so cold and windy and unfriendly to people. But Roger told us that the southern right whales like to gather there in August to have babies and to mate. And so that sounds really exciting. And so this is a picture of the laboratory Roger called the camp. So initially, Roger told us we should stay there. And I thought, well, okay, is there heat? Are there bedrooms? Are there comfortable beds? And so I suggested instead a hotel in the nearby town called Puerto Piramides. And it turns out I was right, not only because it was cold and the beds at the hotel were more comfortable, but also because we had to linger in Puerto Piramides for several days in order to wait for the paperwork from the Argentinian government that would allow us to take the instruments and do the observations. And so we waited and waited for several days, and that was actually a magical time because we had a chance to spend time together, and Roger told us so many mesmerizing stories about animals, but not just about animals, about his family and his friends. And it was a very special time. From time to time, we would walk outside the hotel, and we would entertain the locals with our robot. And here are some more fans of our robots. Now, we went to the camp every day to see what we could see. It was very cold and wet, and I don't know if you can tell from this picture, but I'm wearing 3 jackets on top of each other, and every single item I had in my suitcase, all the layers, probably 10 layers. But somehow Roger didn't need so many layers. He's kind of used to the space. For many decades, Roger went to Peninsula Valdez with binoculars and paper and pencil and sat on top of this cliff to record who went by. And this was extraordinary because it was a first study aiming to characterize the lifetimes of whales. And it was a kind of a census for whales. Now, he knew who went by because southern right whales have callosities on their heads, which are unique to each individual. And Roger got to know each of these individuals intimately. He gave them names, and he kept track of their lives year after year. So this was a very important long-term whale census study, and I was very honored to play a small role in this. Now, although the whales were close, this is what we saw. And one really had to have Roger's vast knowledge and whale detection superpowers to get any individual details. I could not make anything out with the naked eye. However, we had the robot. With a Falcon robot, we could extend our reach as though we had a mobile eye that we could throw over the ocean. And Roger even got to control this mobile eye, and he was very happy when he finally got the robot to steer according to his desires. And the robot did not disappoint. So here's one shot that shows very clearly the callosities of the whales. This was taken very close by because we could actually fly the robot so close to the whales. And the whales were really not disturbed by the robot at all. And so Roger was utterly besotted with his new instrument. This was a robot that could extend his reach and his views beyond anything he imagined. The Falcon hovered like a mosquito above the whales. It recorded unprecedented images and videos and even incited some sea lions to chase it. All of this enabled by new technology. So can you imagine going from binoculars, paper, and pencil to this in 2009, and then just a few years later today to the point where these kinds of tools have become democratized. They've become ubiquitous tools for the study of nature. A few months ago, I visited Roger and Lisa in Vermont, and Roger told me about his wonderful memories from this trip. And he pulled out his computer, showed me this photo, and said it was his most favorite of all those Argentina photos, and I wanted to share it with you. So Roger's infectious laughter, that unmistakable spark in his eyes when inspiration struck, and his deep dives into impassioned conversations are unforgettable. I deeply miss Roger, a true friend, not just to me, but to all of us here, and undeniably to the majestic creatures of the ocean that were so close to his heart. Roger and I stayed friends since 2009. We continued to work together, but it wasn't until a decade later, in 2019, when we had an opportunity to reconnect professionally and to work alongside David Gruber and many other scholars from other disciplines, some who you will meet later today. So we came together to shape and raise funds for the CETI project, an ambitious effort to decode the language of sperm whales. And this work is really extraordinary. It's happening right now, and it's enabled by the convergence between several technologies and knowledge. The technologies include robotics and new instruments. It includes machine learning. It includes computation. It includes new knowledge about whales. And our fearless leader, David Gruber, who is also the co-chair of this meeting, is leading us in these efforts. And now I would like to invite David to take the floor and say a few words. David.